Fred, Seibert.
How you doing, bud?
Oh my goodness, it's good to see you, my man.
You too. How's everything?
Fantastic. I gotta tell you, this is what my grandpa would have called a bit of all right. Just a nice little blast from the past.
Aren't you sweet? That's great.
You look fantastic. First of all,
thank you.
You look like you always have. I'm glad to see you're on brand with the snowy white shirt and the glasses and all of it. It's just good to see you, my friend.
Thank you. You too. Where are you?
I run a little independent studio, and we're making a bunch of cartoons based on my early experiences in animation.
Fantastic. How great.
And that's why I got one with Rob Renzetti, and some of them they're just key moments in my animation career.
Fantastic.
And
you sent me something with Rob.
Yeah. I thought I had sent you the original comic strip too, but I'll send you that. Okay. This all started because I did a really long, probably like 100-page tutorial on Twitter back when it was Twitter, basically called Storyboarding 101, because I only got on social media about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And once I did, it amazed me how many people were coming out of the woodwork going, oh my gosh, Fairly Oddparents, oh my gosh, Invader Zim, oh my gosh, Teenage Robot. And they kept saying, how do we get our start? And all these people, all these really young, talented artists, they couldn't get experience because they couldn't get a job, and they couldn't get a job because they couldn't get experience. And a lot of them wanted to learn storyboarding, but a lot of people can't afford places like CalArts or Sheridan or whatever. Sure. So I did a whole illustrated tutorial on Twitter. And
how many pages?
It's got to be at least 100, including illustrations and graphs. And one of the things I did was I illustrated key moments in my animation career. And one of those key moments, and now you can tell me if I've got any part of this wrong, but the way I depicted it in the comic strip, it was little old me who didn't go to CalArts, was fresh off the boat from Kalamazoo, sitting across from you, who is roughly 8 feet tall, and I'm already intimidated because I knew who you were, and I'm a nobody, but somehow or another I got a meeting with you to pitch cartoons for Oh Yeah Cartoons. And
do you remember how you got the meeting?
I think just by being nice. I think by being nice on the phone.
Yeah. That's my. I will talk to anybody who wants to talk to me.
I had been working at Klasky Chupo, but I was dying to get away from Klasky Chupo. Right. I wanted desperately to work at Nickelodeon, but Nickelodeon had this kind of agreement where they wouldn't poach people from Klasky Chupo. Yes, I know. And I had the stink of Klasky Chupo on me. But then I saw that Oh Yeah Cartoons was taking pitches, and I'm like, oh, that's my out. That's my out.
And I'm not Nickelodeon.
You're not Nickelodeon. You were an independent dude. Yeah. And I said to myself, and by the way, I moved to Los Angeles. Yes, I wanted to work in animation, but my intention the entire time was to pitch my own stuff. And so I'm pretty sure I just called Nickelodeon and said, one of the things that I don't know how this happened, but somewhere along the line in life, I learned to be nice and charismatic and charming on the phone. And they put me through to whoever was taking your calls at the time. Right. And I just scored a meeting with you. And,
fantastic.
And the way I recall it is, and this is the way the script is written, young John sits across the table for the desk from Fred Seibert, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this guy is 8 feet tall. Now a backward shot of Seibert at his desk looking at Fountain. And you said to me, and I'm paraphrasing, but you said to me, because I pitched you several things that, of course, I thought were gold, and you didn't like any of them. You didn't dislike them, but you didn't want them for Oh Yeah Cartoons. You said to me, well, I don't like your series pitch, but your storyboards are funny. And I was just kind of like, okay, that's about as close to it's a compliment of sorts.
You bet.
And you did go on to tell me about how this is happening and that was happening, and the conversation that happened in between there was, I've got this friend, Larry Huber, with a show called Chalk Zone. I like it. And you said to me, your storyboards are funny. You draw funny. That's what he needs. And then you hooked me up with Larry. But somewhere in that conversation, you said, and you've said it in many conversations I've had with you since then, you see, kid, everything is like dating. And after that conversation, I told people about it, and they're like, oh yeah, Fred always equates everything. And the thing is, you were right. Everything is like
for 40 years. Yeah. I continue to do it. Yeah.
Do you still preach that gospel?
Completely.
That's amazing. Because it's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
No, you were telling me, you can't, when you're pitching a show, you have to go in and it's almost like a first date. And, I'm sure you saw the million mistakes I made and stuff like that. And again, it was one of those major turning points in my career. I've got you in there. I've got a comic strip I did with you, one with Larry, one with Rob, and then one with Butch. And I'm going around begging all these people to do the voices. So the fact that I got you, I'm hoping will make everyone else fall in line. Rob, I've kept in touch with pretty well. He and I have been buddies for like a long time. So
he's a sweet guy.
He really is the best. And Larry, my goodness, Larry doesn't get nearly the accolades he deserves.
No, I know. I've been preaching him to some people lately. He did a podcast with Sylvia. Did you see that?
I did. I've saw several with you. Yeah. No, I look for any nuggets from Larry anytime I can, because I
tell people all over, Larry is one of the real, aside from being an unsung hero of my business. Mm-hmm. He understands things about filmmaking. Yeah. That most people I work with do not. Yeah. And he, not just to you, but to many. So I've done like 250 shorts over the years. Mm-hmm. And I bet you he was significantly involved in more than 100 of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, and you look at the laundry list, the who's who of people he mentored, Craig McCracken, Butch Hartman, Rob Renzetti, Dave Wasson, me.
And a lot of them have really bad attitudes about him, by the way, because he can be a tough motherfucker to them.
That's what I love about the guy. I don't know. It really is. Really early on, somehow or another, I tapped into that. And I think, I don't know, something about it just charmed the heck out. I got along fantastic with him, and he's a great guy. I take any opportunity I can to shout his name from the fountaintops. Because
he was the only guy when I got to Hanna-Barbera, when I told people I didn't know anything about cartoons. Right. And so I was depending on them. Mm-hmm. He was the only one that showed up.
Wow.
Of the veterans. Right?
He coined, I don't know if he coined the phrase, but he's the first person I ever heard use the phrase pencil mileage. Because a lot of times you'd get these writers who would come in with these scripts, and as a board artist, you would try and explain to them, this is going to take forever. And they'd be like, oh, it's just a couple drawings. And Larry would say, no, there's pencil mileage involved here. Like you're right. He's more than just a cartoon maker. He's a filmmaker. He really instilled in me that this is a film language.
Why do you think I wanted to take pitches from artists instead of writers?
Yeah. See, the thing is, when it comes to the whole like artist-writer thing, I'm very sort of middle of the road. Like, I like writers.
That's a different issue.
I love writers.
That's a different issue.
But they have to be able to write for the medium. They have to be able to write for what they're doing.
Here's what a writer does who's watched too many cartoons. Right. They say Elmer throws the bomb at Bugs. Right. And then they move on. And he said, a bomb's not funny. Mm-hmm. He said, the look on Elmer's face when he's holding the bomb is funny. Right. The way the bomb is drawn is funny. Right. The way he's holding it can be funny. Right. When it goes through the air, it has to go through the air a certain way.
A funny way.
And the way that Bugs catches it has to be funny. Right. He said, now, so far, there's been no dialogue at all. Uh-huh. The way Bugs looks when he catches it has to be funny. Right. And the way it explodes That has to be funny.
Right.
And the way that the aftermath of the bomb has to be funny.
Right.
But the writer says, and Elmer throws a bomb at Bugs.
Right, right.
And from that minute on, I started taking pitches from artists.
Right.
And I told every writer, if they want to pitch me, they have to partner with an artist before they come to me.
Right. Well, that's one of the things I loved about working with Rob was, and this is actually how his cartoon ties into all this. One of the things I loved about working with Rob is we had on Teenage Robot, we had a staff writer. Like he and Alex Kerwin would come up with the premises, and he would write outlines, and then they would just hand it to us, the board artists. Now, one of the things that had happened between my time on Chalk Zone and my time on My Life as a Teenage Robot is I had gotten very, very cocky. And I would get these outlines and I would look at them and they were usually fine. I would follow sort of the basic thing, but I would go off on tangents because by this time I knew the characters and I would go off and do all kinds of very, very different things and I would change stuff enormously. And so my cartoon of me and Rob is me standing there with Rob Renzetti looking at all of my storyboard panels and me going, I kind of changed practically everything. And Rob, and he actually said this, was like, as long as it's better, I don't care. And that's what was great about working with Rob. He was never like...
he's awesome.
He was always just like, if you make it better, that's fine. And my goodness, what a great incentive structure, What a great way
absolutely.
So...
But again, he was a great example of, he was an artist who came with a cartoon, not a writer who came in with a cartoon.
Right.
Not that there's anything wrong with writers.
Well, that's a thing.
I mean...
I've always considered myself, yes, I am a cartoonist first, but I have a degree in journalism. I have studied writing. I'm a better writer than most writers I know. And
again, but you're a rarity.
Yeah. Oh, and, goodness.
When the executives to this day, I've just retired, by the way.
Oh, congratulations! But when?
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to retire, but the circumstances of the industry have frustrated me to no end,
Yeah.
And then I had health issues.
Trust me. Yeah.
Right. But as recently as recent, people would say to me, "Well, artists can't write." And I go, "Well, artists can't write either. I mean, writers can't write either. Most of them can type."
Right.
but the odds are that they actually know how to write is pretty rare.
Oh yeah. Now see, this is the phrase I coined when I would come across scripts where there are some scripts where I feel like you can almost hear the writer giggling at his own stuff, and I would call those writery. I'd be like, this is too writery. You can smell the writer in this,
Sure.
It's like, and that's the whole thing is I want to completely forget everything except the story. Like that's the thing. I'm all about story. That's the other thing for me. It's never been so much about the drawing or even the writing. It's always about story, and pictures tell stories way faster than words do. So that's always been a little thing of mine. And as for retirement,
fantastic.
I consider myself semi-retired, but one of the things that, as I sort of started tapering off more and more on doing actual director stuff and animator stuff, I kept getting the itch because I love mentoring people.
Sure.
And I was like, you know what? I want to be another Fred. I want to do what Fred did. And so one day after, I don't know, I had a couple hundred followers or so on Twitter, I was like, I'm going to put this call out, and chances are no one's going to respond, or maybe 10 people will respond. And I'll be like, I'm just going to be like, hey, everybody out there, I'm an experienced, director. A lot of the stuff that I worked on, and I've got the itch to kind of make some cartoons, but I don't want anyone looking over my shoulder. And I was like, so if you want to be personally mentored by me, and make cartoons, there's not going to be any money and there's not going to be any, it's strictly going to be for the let's learn, let's have fun, let's put some cool stuff up on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. And so I did. On an absolute lark, I did that thinking no one would respond. And just that day, like 200 people responded. And now what was great about it was some of the people who responded were like, hey, I can't draw or write, but I'm really good at doing, at organizing, and I'm really good at it. Yeah. So I've got people handling all the not fun stuff that I'm super grateful for.
Isn't that great?
Oh, it's amazing.
That great? Good for you.
And so now I can firsthand sort of see, how much fun this must have been for you to just find creative.
But you can draw and write. I can't. So I can't do either.
Well, and that's, but that's the equity. That's how I sort of pay them, is by saying, okay, sure. I can firsthand go, okay, here's, so in a way, I'm sort of you and Larry combined, or that's what I'm trying to do.
That's fantastic.
But
fantastic.
That's why I started this thing. And so, like I said, we're doing this series of, little snippets from my early career. I've heard a few other interviews with you online and stuff like that. I have my own opinions about the way the animation industry are going, and if it's okay with you, because like I said, I'm recording this, I would like to share this with my apprentices, with the people that I'm.
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
Not a problem. Absolutely.
What are your feelings on the current state of the animation industry?
Well, the first thing is to know that I look at the animation industry like the whole television industry. I don't think there's a lot different, except for if the television industry is a giant mountain, animation's at the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
And, it rolls downhill.
Sure.
So whatever is going on in the business, we get advantages and all the disadvantages of it.
Right. And
right now, the way I really look at things is that the television business in the midst of an actual real revolution. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the last time there really was a revolution in television was at the invention of television.
Yeah.
When I got into cable, I thought that was a revolution.
Uh-huh.
As I look back on it, it was just an evolution. It was exactly the same as TV had been.
Interesting.
But there was more of it and organized in a slightly different way.
Mm-hmm.
But the universe of streaming has put us in the midst of a revolution that's now almost 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about revolutions is there's a lot of smoke and a lot of noise, a lot of Sturm and Drang, and even the revolutionaries don't know what's going on. Like the people, the winner right now is Netflix.
Right.
And I talk to the people at Netflix in a broader way than just, will you buy my show?
Right.
And the stuff that they say is so stupid. It makes the stupid stuff that executives have said to me over 40 years look smart.
Right.
It's like in animation in particular.
Yeah.
They think that the animation they have has only appealed to animation people.
Right.
And they think they want something that appeals to everybody.
Yeah.
And that one of the oldest things that's gone on in the media business is that they call in business consultants all the time.
Right.
And the business consultants go through all of their machinations and interviews and analysis and this, that, and the other thing. And at the end, they go, we think we have the solution for you. Stop making the bad shows, only make the good ones. And this notion in animation that it has to appeal to like everybody.
Right.
The last time they told me this, I said, well, what, you think that the people in animation are only making shows for certain people? Like, they're just like everybody else in this business. They want everyone to love what they do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes they make things that everybody loves.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
But now I think there's this cross current of what's going on in streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a mess. Everybody but Netflix is literally broke. They're all like losing their shorts.
Yeah.
Their companies have gone down in value by 75%.
Wow.
And it's not coming back.
Right.
Right? That 75% that they've lost
right.
is they've lost because they make all their money not in the programs.
Right.
They make all their money on their platforms.
Right.
And the platform that has been the most lucrative over the history of television has been cable.
Right.
And that platform is dead.
Yeah.
Right? Financially.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But then the other thing that I think is for animation, but for all of popular culture, just as significant is, when I went back to New York, when I moved back to New York in 1999, the first thing I noticed is that there were no young people in New York, and it had become an incredibly dull place, right? When I went to New York when I was 17 in 1969, and it was at its very bottom. It was like, there was the drug addiction had, like really carved out the city.
Right.
There was a headline about 10 years later when New York was on the verge of bankruptcy and the president was Gerald Ford. And there was a headline in the local paper, Ford to city, drop dead. We're not going to help you.
I have the vaguest memory of that because I was really young, but
Right.
Yeah, I have
but here's what was true. It was a vibrant, creative place.
Right.
There were multiple creative neighborhoods throughout the 5 boroughs.
Right.
Everywhere you went, there was somebody trying to do something interesting.
Right.
And when I kind of looked at it like as an overview when I got there in the late 90s, got back in the late 90s, I said, in the 19th century, Paris was the cultural center of the world.
Right.
After World War II, that spark jumped to New York City. And New York City became the central creative place of the world.
That tracks, yeah.
By the turn of the century, I started making all of my friends, both in New York and in Los Angeles, angry when I said, the spark has jumped again, and it's in Los Angeles.
Right.
It's the cultural center of the world. Nobody believed me, even the LA people.
Wow.
Right? Well, I think it's jumped again. I think it has jumped, and I think not only has it jumped from Los Angeles, but I think it's jumped from the United States for the first time in 75 years. And that is Asia.
Yeah.
Asia is now the popular culture center of the globe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And in animation, what that means in particular is that anime manga and anime manga storytelling has come from a freakazoid, in the corner hippie place to the mainstream.
Right.
You've seen, right, that K-pop Demon Hunters is the most popular movie in the history of Netflix.
I have a 10-year-old daughter. I've seen it 8 times.
Right.
Yeah.
And, when my kids are now around 30.
Yeah.
And they were the 5-year-olds that were there when Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirby came out.
Yeah.
And when they were explaining Pokemon to me, I go, what do you mean there's 150 characters? There's Tom and Jerry. Yeah. There's Elmer and Bugs.
Yeah.
And right then I stopped being interested in anything that was going on in anime and manga.
Right.
Because it was a method of storytelling that didn't ring true to me.
Sure.
And at that point I was like 50.
Right.
And it wasn't going to. Right?
Yeah.
So if you take what's coming out of Korea, what's coming out of Japan, what's starting to come out of China, again, this is my theory.
Sure.
Is K-pop is kind of like American music was in 1950. It was all controlled by them up above at the record company.
Yeah.
Right? and the musicians read the music that was put in front of them, and the singers sang the lyrics that were put in front of them.
Right.
Right? It wasn't until Elvis that there was a hint
right.
that what the personal music was, that it was around the United States,
right,
could not only come to the popularity of young people, but it could spread around the world.
Sure.
And it wasn't until the nuclear explosion of the Beatles that it actually went around the world.
Right.
The Beatles took American music, repackaged it, and made it world friendly. And all of their music was a personal outgrowth rather than a corporate outgrowth.
Right.
I think that's the easy way to put it, right?
Right.
So that hasn't happened yet in Korea.
Right.
It has happened in the underground of Japan.
Right.
But it hasn't yet coalesced into some human saying, I don't want to do what you tell me. I want to do what I want to do.
Right.
And that person's what they want to do is attractive to everybody.
Right.
So I think that where American animation, which has been dominant for 100 years, I think has probably started to lose its dominance. It doesn't. It's not a black and white thing. It doesn't happen on one day.
Yeah.
But I think we're very close to it being that way.
Well, what's two things jumped out at me as you were talking about that. One of the things, well, first of all, I want to go back to this because one of the things you mentioned about, I wound up during my time in Los Angeles, which was roughly around 12 or 15 years. I sold 6 series, one to Warner Brothers, one to Nickelodeon, and had stuff optioned by Disney and stuff like that.
Sure.
And every single time I would pitch a show, and this would drive my agent nuts because she hated that I kept saying this. They would ask me.
Who was your agent?
It was. I don't want to say her name. It was. It was at the Gotham Group. It was Butch's agent.
I know who it is.
Yeah. She hated that I would always say this, but they would be like, "Who's your audience? Who are you trying to reach?" And my answer was always, anyone who wants to be entertained. Right. That was always my answer. I didn't create boy shows. I didn't create girl shows. I didn't create shows for this or shows for that. I'm just like, if you want to be entertained, this is a show for you. But
the problem is, you know what the problem is? There's no buyer whose definition is, I want to make shows for entertainment for anybody.
Right. But that's the thing. One of the things that, because the short that I sold to you, and by the way, if I have not said the words, thank you.
You're welcome.
The show
it was a great short.
You gave me my first big shot, and it was The Tantrum, and Nickelodeon. Like again, you left LA shortly after. It's so funny. I mean, if I'd have gotten there this much later, I wouldn't have gotten that shot at all. Because it was the very last slot on the very last season of Oh Yeah Cartoons.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
And boy, I just got it in just in the nick of time. And man, the second the second we had an animatic, I feel like very shortly thereafter, Nickelodeon optioned it. Like they bought it lock, stock, and barrel, which is why I can't do anything with it anymore. But
yes, you can. I don't think they bought it. I think you're reading your contract wrong.
No, I would have to contact my agent again. I think they did. I got a fairly.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm happy to look.
They didn't change that. They changed that. But they didn't change it until 6 or 7 or 8 years later. When I sold Adventure Time to Cartoon Network. And then all of a sudden they changed.
Well,
I'm pretty sure the contracts that I developed were contracts that had reversions in them. You know, they had options.
No, but first of all, thank you for giving me the shot. But then after that, you fought like hell for Nickelodeon to turn it into a series.
Sure.
And it was, frankly, I think it was a huge mistake that they didn't. because they had the Fairly Oddparents and Invader Zim. The Tantrum would have been a perfect thing to go in between those two things. But
well, remember the Invader Zim failed.
It did. Well, yeah. I mean, but it has
a cult following. It has
such a cult following that's so vocal that like, and in fact,
failed.
I would have argued at the time, and I'm sure I did argue at the time, that, you know, because Invader Zim immediately followed Fairly Oddparents, my goodness, the two shows could not be more diametrically opposed. My show in between
it was actually the opposite.
Was it?
Fairly Oddparents followed Invader Zim. Oh.
Either way, mine would have been a perfect bridge for those two shows. It really would have.
But the difference with your show with Invader Zim is your show wanted to be funny.
There is that.
Right. And as Albie Hecht used to say, and many other people have said before and since, funny is money.
I've always, well, and this ties into what I wanted to get onto next. Even whenever because I've pitched action shows, I've pitched all kinds of different shows, and humor always winds up being a part of it. There's clearly something I can't.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between humor and comedy, though.
Well, that's true. But this is one of the things.
Star Wars has humor in it.
That's true.
At least the originals.
That's true.
Right? You know.
One of the things I noticed about K-pop Demon Hunters and like I said, I've got an 8-year-old or almost 10-year-old, so I've seen it 8 times, is I said easily 20 years ago, I started when Japanese anime started doing CGI. I remember seeing it and going, okay, now they're getting really good at CGI. You know, that it was at first it was only Pixar, but now they're getting really good at CGI. And I said to myself and to other animators at the time, the minute they figure out how to do wacky slapstick the way American animators do and American cartoons do, and fuse it with their own style, it's over. Like whoever does it first is going to be huge, and that's K-pop Demon Hunters.
Well, actually, no. It was done. You know, K-pop was done at Sony,
right?
And there was a predecessor at Sony who is the one who brought that to Sony's animation, and that's Gendy Tartakovsky.
Yes,
with the Transylvania Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah.
You know,
but that's always been one of the great things about him.
The first time he sent me a test, he goes, "So what do you think?" And I said, "It looks great, Gendy." He goes, "Yeah, but what about the animation?" Because he was determined to be the first guy to really bring 2D comedy timing
right
to CG.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And it's one of the things that always frustrated me about the animation industry, because I didn't go to school for animation. I came in through sort of a sideways door. Right. I just kept and this is something that's always been great. I thought about the way Gendy operates. There are so many like inefficiencies, so much wasted time, so much wasted pencil mileage, just because people are doing things the way they've been doing them the whole time. And I think he's one of the people who looks at this and says, why are we doing it this way? Why don't we do it this way instead? And that's something that Asian and Japanese animation has always been good at, is doing things efficiently. Oh, sure. They do things efficiently because right after World War II, they couldn't spend a lot of money making cartoons. Absolutely. So they literally had to count every single frame, and they got really good.
Unfortunately, they also, to this day, pay so little.
Right.
You know, you heard about all the suicides over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, and that's my thing, is I've always thought there's got to be some place where we can have the efficiency without having the sort of slave labor and because a lot of their ideas. One of the things I tried desperately to do with every show that I wound up being either director or supervising director for was they always have someone in the credits called animation planner. And their whole job is to go through everything and go, okay, who's good at animating fire, and who's good at, and how much work is this scene going to take, and is that even going to be worth it? That's all they do, and I'm like, why aren't we doing that? But
well, that's what not to bring up a sore subject, but that's what the anime systems are trying to do, and they're doing they've done it pretty interestingly, and they're pretty smart about
Mm-hmm.
You know, they figured out a way, the people who are smart about it have figured out a way to shorten the production cycle
mm-hmm.
by the machine learning understanding exactly that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from primary creative people on any level.
Right.
Right? But it makes the back end of the system much less, at least at this point in time,
right,
much less rote.
Yeah.
Right? Because the machine can learn a lot of different things over time
mm-hmm.
and understand that certain scenes need to be done on ones and other scenes
right.
can be done on threes, right? Or fours or whatever, you know?
And see, and that's exactly the problem is, and this is something I also, you know, because I taught at CalArts for a little while myself, which always made me laugh because CalArts never would have accepted me. But they did.
I taught at the Columbia Business School where I went to college, and I never graduated.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that I would tell them all the time. It's like we've got too many people here who are studying only animation and they're not studying film. Like, because animation is just
well, they never go to English class,
right?
You know, and read books.
Well, and that's the other thing. I tell people that all the time. The reason there's so much life in the stuff that like Chuck Jones and Chris Freeling and Tex Avery and the 9 Old Men, you know, all those guys, you know, none of them went to animation school and none of them sat on their tablets all day. They went to operas and they saw plays and they read books and they
absolutely
experienced life. And that's whenever I teach at CalArts, and there was a period where I was going around to schools talking about this. It's like, if you want to, you know, create the illusion of life, you have to live life. You can't be in your parents' you can't be in your parents' basement 24/7, you know, just watching Naruto all day. You know, you have to.
I always say the most interesting people, Larry is one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
The most interesting people I dealt with had a life that wasn't comics and video games.
Right.
You know?
I
have a 28-year-old son
mm-hmm.
who was a math computer kid
mm-hmm.
who, I'll make a long story short, he got suspended from school for hacking the school server.
Of course.
And his computer teacher told him to spend a summer without a computer.
Ooh.
And when he was 14, he fell in love with Shakespeare.
Oh, that's awesome.
Continued to be a video game computer kid.
Uh-huh.
Went to college at Stanford, one of the top computer schools in the world.
Uh-huh.
And majored in English.
Wow.
And taught computers to graduate students.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He then graduated and went to work at a video game company, the thing he had wanted to do his entire life. And last year quit out of nowhere and said, I'm going to try and become a movie director. Having never, ever picked up a camera in his life, done anything, you know, other than learned how to write when he was, you know, when he was a kid.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's why I have full faith that he's going to figure it out, because you know, he's in the bad period now of now what do I do? Right.
You
know.
But see, that's what's great is you know, in order to have a voice, you have to have something to say, and in order to have something to say, you have to get out there and do a few different things.
Exactly.
I'll end on if I can squeeze in one quick anecdote, because I think you'll appreciate it. When I was working on Invader Zim, a bunch of us, a bunch of them decided to all go skydiving, and they invited me, and I didn't want to go. But at the very last minute, I said, you know what? This is going to be one of those things where if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it.
You bet.
So at the very last minute, I went and I did it. And what's interesting is the scary thing about skydiving is not the falling; it's jumping off the plane. Because that's the part they make you do yourself.
I've never done it, but I know.
You have to push yourself out of a plane that's 1,000 feet in the air. It goes against every survival instinct. Yep. But that experience changed me so profoundly, and it gave me it made me go, wow, this is something, I will now apply this one experience to everything I do. And what's funny is the week after we had gotten back from that weekend, we're all on the elevator at Nickelodeon, and I had just said something really, really profoundly disgusting and inappropriate just as the doors were opening and Mary Harrington walked in and heard me saying the thing. But we had just got back from skydiving, and everyone started laughing at me because it's like, oh, Fountain's going to get in trouble. And I looked at Mary Harrington and said, I've jumped out of an airplane. There's nothing you can do to me. So that goes full circle. I went from being scared as a kitten around you to telling Mary Harrington, I'm not scared of you because I've jumped out of an airplane. Fred, thank you so much.
Mary wasn't scary.
Nah, she's...
Yeah.
She was always super nice to me.
So when you get the film done, send it to me.
You bet.
And send me the comic strips like you were going to.
Will do.
And I appreciate your getting in touch and saying all these nice things.
My friend, I would love to have another conversation with you again sometime. I'd love to get on a call with you and Larry just to shoot.
If we could, Larry, like I mentioned to you.
Right.
Did you ever write to Sylvia?
I'm going to this weekend.
Good.
All right.
But in the short run, you have that link from me.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anytime you want to chat, just jump on.
Love it. Thanks so much for your time, Fred. I really appreciate it.
Great seeing you. Okay, man.
Have a great evening.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.